On this afternoon, we present to our listeners the story, The Ancient Book. It was high noon, a time when most people were resting, but under the small awning in front of Old Man Nam's house, people were still bustling about. He had only put up this awning a few days ago to provide shelter for his patients. Speaking of Old Man Nam, his life truly lived up to the name he carried. He was desperately poor, though no one knew for how many generations. He clearly remembered his childhood days when his grandfather was still alive and the family owned only one pair of trousers. Whenever there was a feast or celebration in the village, either his grandfather or his father would be the one to go. They were so poor that his father, when naming him, gave him the full name Nguyen Kok Ban, hoping that his birth would restrain the Ban Kung poverty of the family. Yet, poverty clung to Nam relentlessly. His youth was spent in extreme hardship, so he didn't receive much schooling. He toiled at various grueling jobs, which meant he married quite late, at 40 years old. And as if that weren't enough, his poverty drove his wife to leave him, abandoning him just after giving birth to their daughter. Grief-stricken, Nam almost wanted to embrace his baby and jump into the river. But somehow, looking at his tiny daughter in his arms, he couldn't bring himself to do it. Sometime later, he entrusted his daughter to relatives and left for Thailand to seek work. Each month, he sent all the money he earned back for his daughter's upbringing. He thought he would live as an expatriate forever, but about a month ago, he returned to Vietnam and decided to stay for good. He put up a sign that simply read, "Free healing here." Nam claimed that during his time in Thailand, he had learned medicine and a bit of charm casting from a local master. People in the Mekong Delta region were no strangers to the sacred arts of the land of golden temples. However, due to Nam's less-than-ideal background, few believed him at first. That was until Old Man Nam saved a child who was thought to have drowned. This news was truly earth-shattering, shaking every corner of their poor village. Mr. Hai, a direct witness, recounted the events of that day. The sandbar between the branches of the Vam Co River was where children gathered every afternoon to play. Usually, they would end the day by competing to jump into the water for a swim. That day was no different. Hong, Ms. Land's son from the upper village, felt a bit tired but, eager to join the fun, jumped into the river with his friends. The children played innocently, unaware that Hong had a cramp. The others thought he was just teasing them, as everyone knew Hong was the best swimmer among them. But after playing for a while, Hong sank. The children waited on the riverbank for over 10 minutes, but Hong didn't resurface. Panicked, they ran to call the adults. Aunt Lan, upon hearing of her son's accident, ran out, weeping as if her heart would break. The situation grew even more desperate when people finally pulled Hong from the muddy riverbed. At that moment, all 10 witnesses believed Hong was dead. But no, Old Man Nam suddenly rushed over. He urged everyone to make space around Hong's body. He bent low, murmuring something into the child's ear. A moment later, he made a hand gesture and pressed firmly on the boy's chest. One might not believe it, but a true miracle occurred then. Hong came to, vomiting a stream of mud and dirt. From that day on, Old Man Nam's reputation soared to the skies, and everyone had to admit his extraordinary talent. If anyone in the area fell ill, he could cure them all, as long as it wasn't a terminal illness or one that had lingered for too long. Mr. Hai finished his story, picking up a slice of green mango from a bowl, dipping it in sugar fish sauce, and popping it into his mouth. Mr. Bay Engia, a respected elder in the region, spoke up. "I hear you, but me. I've seen countless incredible things in the war, but saving someone from drowning? I think that's a wild tale. If it happened, maybe that Hong kid wasn't dead yet, and Old Man Nam just got lucky." Before Mr. Bay could finish, his wife, Mrs. Bay, interjected from inside the house. "You shouldn't speak such nonsense, husband. What if Master Nam hears you and gets upset? He might not help our family anymore. He's like a living saint in our commune now. I even heard that a high-ranking official from the province came all the way here to ask Master Nam for healing. If he weren't effective, why would so many people believe in him?" "Yes, Mrs. Bay is right," Mr. Hai chimed in, contradicting Mr. Bay a bit. Mr. Bay said nothing more, though he felt annoyed by the villagers' praise for Old Man Nam. He muttered to himself, "Fine, one day I'll get cancer or cirrhosis and I'll go to him. If he can cure it, then I'll believe." Hearing him, Mrs. Bay shook her head, sighing softly. "That old man truly is reckless." Then, whether by coincidence or intent, a figure walked past their house, startling Mrs. Bay. "Good heavens, Master Nom, is that Master Nom?" Indeed, it was Old Man Nom himself. Hearing his name, he turned, a gentle smile on his face as he looked at Mrs. Bay. "Greetings, madam." "Oh my goodness, Master Nom, where are you going? Don't you have patients to see today? Do you have free time?" "I'm going to the town to visit my daughter. Patients are fewer today, so I decided to take a stroll." "You're drinking, Master? Come have a cup with us." No, I'm in a hurry, so I can't. Tomorrow, when I return, I'll sit down and chat with you all." With that, Nom bowed and continued on his way. Mr. High turned back to the drinking table and nudged Mr. Bay. "See, Mr. Bay, he's such a respectable and courteous man, and yet you always think ill of him. You fought too many battles in the past, so now you can't see the good in people." Everyone burst into laughter. Mr. Bay said nothing, simply raised his glass of wine and drained it, ignoring those who disagreed with him. As for Old Man Nom, this was the first time in over 2 years he would see his daughter. The last time he returned from Thailand, she was still in the countryside. But last year, a relative moved to the town, and Thuy went with them. It had been over a month since he returned from Thailand, but only now had he managed to make time. Sitting on the bus, Nom couldn't stop imagining his daughter's joy upon seeing her father. They would talk about everything under the sun, and then the moment arrived. He stepped off the bus and saw his relatives waiting, their faces beaming. But the person he most longed to see was not there. Nom approached and bowed his head. "Hello, Ms. Ba, everyone is well, I hope?" Yes, we're fine. When we heard you were coming back, I got so busy I couldn't go back to the village." "Where's my daughter, Ms. Ba?" "That girl is so ill-behaved, Nom. Just this afternoon, she got into a fight with some kids on the street. I heard it got physical. Now she's lying in her room, slamming the door shut. I've called her many times, but she won't answer." "Such a thing? Ms. Ba, please take me home so I can see her." Nom quickly rushed home. Thuy was still in her room. Nom called out to his daughter, "Thuy, my dear, your father is home. Come open the door for Dad." At first, there was no reply. Only when Nom threatened to break down the door did Thuy open it, her eyes swollen and red, glaring at him. "Why are you here?" Surprised by his daughter's attitude, Nom remained calm. He smiled gently and said, "It's all right, daughter, I'm sorry. I won't leave you again." "I have good news. I've moved back to the countryside permanently. I'm not going back to Thailand." Thuy pouted. "So what? Are you even my father? If you were my father, those kids wouldn't constantly tease me for being an orphan. Do you know what I've had to endure?" Hearing this, Nom began to understand the reason for his daughter's negative change. He gently stepped inside and locked the door behind him. He whispered, "My precious daughter, don't worry. Your father is back now. No one will ever bully my daughter again. Write down their names, their dates of birth, and I will punish each and every one of them." Thuy frowned, unable to comprehend what her father intended to do. Nom led his daughter to the bed and repeated his request. "Come, write down their names, ages, and birthdays for me." Thuy was curious but did as Nom asked. Being a class monitor, she had the class list and information about many students. When she was done, Nom folded the paper and put it in his pocket. His face held a stern, inscrutable expression. Thuy asked, "What are you going to do, Dad?" Nom shook his head and said, "My dear daughter, don't be impatient, just leave it to me. Those kids will regret it soon enough." Afterward, he stepped out and gave Ms. Ba the monthly allowance for Thuy. This time, however, the amount seemed to genuinely surprise Ms. Ba, who asked, "Nom, why so much?" Nom laughed heartily and said, "It's nothing. Thuy is about to enter 10th grade, so you'll need a bit more money to take care of her. Just take it. If you run out, just call me and I'll send more. Don't worry, I'm doing very well now. I'm not short on money." Ms. Ba nodded, quickly tucking the stack of bills into her pocket. Nom glanced towards his daughter's room and smiled faintly. Old Man Nom was supposed to stay at Ms. Ba's house until the next morning, but for some reason, after a while, he excused himself. Even though Ms. Ba urged him to stay for dinner, he insisted on leaving. It seemed he was in a hurry for something. When he arrived home, it was already past 8 p.m. Nom, without a word, quickly went into his room and drew the curtains. Next, he pulled out a thick, ancient-looking book from his trunk with some torn pages. Nom nervously flipped through it for a moment, stopping at a particular page. What happened next was truly noteworthy. He took out the paper Thuy had given him that afternoon. He muttered something under his breath. Then he took out 3 small wooden effigies he had carved from a basket. After preparing them, he went to the altar in the middle of the house, pricked his finger, and applied his blood to the 3 effigies. As he applied the blood, he chanted incantations. It wasn't until midnight that the ritual was complete. Nam threw the 3 effigies onto the roof of his house, then returned inside to sleep. The next morning, Old Man Nam resumed his daily routine. Today, even more people came to seek healing than yesterday. His reputation had truly soared in this land, and his healing methods were even stranger. He didn't charge money or set any fees for those who came to him, but saying Old Man Nam didn't take money wasn't entirely accurate. He did mention that anyone he cured, if they felt sincere, could return to offer donations to help maintain his healing practice. Just recently, a wealthy tycoon, whom Nam had cured of chronic sinusitis, returned and donated 100 million VND. It was thanks to such contributions that Nam was able to send money to his daughter. By late morning, the number of patients dwindled, so Nam took the opportunity to rest. As he lay down, a figure slowly walked in from outside. Thinking it was another patient, he irritably called out, "Come back later, please. Let a man have his afternoon nap." But the figure slowly continued to walk in. Old Man Nam's annoyance showed on his face. As he was about to raise his voice, he sat up, looked towards the door, and said, "I told you to." He stopped mid-sentence as he realized the person standing before him was Thuy, his beloved daughter. He was utterly surprised and quickly got up from his hammock. "Thuy, why are you here? Is something wrong?" Unlike her sullen mood yesterday, her face was now visibly relieved and happy. She walked into the house, sat down gracefully on the wooden bench, and said, "I came to visit you, Dad, and also to tell you something." At this, Nam began to understand the reason for her presence. He gently asked, "How about that group of kids?" Thuy stammered, I don't know what happened, but this morning, as soon as I walked into class, they all ran up to me, grabbing my legs and hands, begging for forgiveness. They said they wouldn't dare tease me again. They even told me to tell you, Dad, not to scare them anymore. They were so afraid, their faces were pale as ghosts. "Dad, what did you do?" Nam laughed softly, stroking his beard. "It's nothing, really. I just used a small trick to teach them a lesson. It's good that they realize their mistake now, but if anything happens again, just tell me. I will never let you suffer any harm." After saying this, Old Man Nam walked out of the house, used a broom handle to knock the 3 wooden effigies he had thrown onto the roof last night down to the ground. He took them to the water tap, chanted incantations while washing away the blood. Then he put them back in his room. Witnessing all this, Thuy, of course, didn't understand. She was curious and wanted to know everything. "Dad, what exactly did you do?" Old Man Nam smiled, brought a finger to his lips, signaling silence, and whispered, "The secrets of heaven cannot be revealed. I don't know how to explain it to you, but I want you to know that your father is different now. I can provide for you properly, and more importantly, I can protect you. No one can harm my daughter." Thuy didn't understand everything, but hearing such tender words, she ran and hugged Nam. At that moment, he truly felt the profound and sacred bond of father and daughter. Thuy stayed and played with him until early afternoon, then had to rush back to town. Before she left, she couldn't help but be surprised to see a long line of people waiting for Old Man Nam to heal them. A sense of pride began to swell within her. Thuy thought, now she could confidently tell others that she had a talented father who could heal and save people. Time flew by, and Old Man Nam's reputation grew even larger. In parallel, he never failed to cure any illness. What he had gained during his years abroad was worth hundreds, even thousands of times more than money. Nam recalled his first years in Thailand. He worked all kinds of odd jobs, mostly as a porter at dried fish markets. There was one place he still shuddered to think about, a place he simply called hell. It was hell because there was no law there. The strong survived. Conflicts and territorial disputes happened daily. Life was already hard for the locals, and for him, a foreigner from Vietnam, everything was exponentially more difficult. After some time, he was taken in by a gang leader at the fish market and became part of his group. This showed how truly fortunate Nam was. After a few interactions, he quickly earned the leader's trust and became his loyal right-hand man. He had plenty of money to send back for his daughter's upbringing. However, this didn't last long. The gang leader was soon arrested, and the gang disbanded. Before he left, Boss Bin entrusted Nam with an ancient book, telling him to keep it carefully and wait for his release from prison. At first, Nam didn't know what the book contained. It was all in Thai, but while on the run from the police, he had the good fortune to secretly learn Thai from a church class. One can easily guess what he did next. With a little knowledge of Thuy, Nam opened the book and began to read. It was then that he discovered it was a book teaching Thuy healing and spell casting. He was already familiar with charms and spells in this country, but he still took the time to verify the contents of the book. For an entire year, he diligently learned Thuy and followed the instructions in the book. When he felt he had gained enough knowledge, Nam packed his bags and returned to Vietnam to practice as a healer, saving people. His time back in Vietnam further proved that the spells recorded in the book were entirely effective. Nam vowed to himself that he would use his abilities to save all who sought his help. He would also ensure his daughter was well provided for and make all those who had once looked down on his family regret it. Master Nam, a loud shout from outside startled Old Man Nam. He glanced at the cheap Chinese clock hanging on the wall. 11 p.m. He knew that if someone was knocking at such a late hour, it must be a very serious case. He quickly went to open the door. Outside was a crowd of people, their faces filled with fear. Nam asked, "What's wrong?" He then noticed the crowd was carrying a stretcher. On it, a man writhed in pain. A terrible cry of lament rose from the crowd. Master Nam, please save my husband. He went night fishing and was bitten by a snake." Nam looked at the man. His condition was indeed very serious. The bitten part of his calf was visibly swollen. Suddenly, another voice from the crowd spoke up. "If Master Nam can't cure him, let us take him to the hospital." A hint of indignation flashed in Old Man Nam's eyes. He retorted, "Who says I can't cure him? Bring him in. If he dies, I'll pay for it, all right." No one dared to speak another word. They quickly carried the man into the house. Nam pointed to the wooden bench in the corner. "Quickly, lay him there." The man continued to writhe in pain, foam beginning to appear at his mouth. His wife stood by, weeping uncontrollably. Nam remained utterly calm, as if he had done this many times before. He walked to the altar in the center, lit an incense stick, and muttered incantations. After chanting, he reached for a knife on the altar. The knife was extremely sharp. Its glint in the light was enough to know. He passed the knife back and forth over the oil lamp. After about a minute, he approached the man. With the knife in hand, he thrust it directly into the wound, gouging into the flesh from which blood began to ooze. Seeing such a gruesome sight, everyone winced. Nam's somewhat horrifying action continued for about 5 minutes before he stopped and began to chant again. Then a black fluid, not blood, flowed from the man's wound. Its foul stench quickly made everyone cover their noses. After all the black fluid had drained, Nam bandaged the man's wound. It was then that everyone noticed the victim's face was no longer pale. In fact, it had regained some color. More importantly, he began to regain consciousness. Finished, Nam turned to the others and said, "For now, he's out of danger. Take him home to rest, and tomorrow morning, brew some herbal medicine for him to drink and he'll be fine." The man's overjoyed wife rushed forward, knelt at Nam's feet and said, "Oh, Master, I'm so grateful. My family will never forget this life-saving kindness. How much money do you need? I'll pay whatever it takes, even if I have to sell my house." Old Man Nam chuckled. "It's nothing, sister, no need to say such things. I just saved him because I could. Your husband's time to die hadn't come yet. Now everyone go home and rest. If you need anything else, just call." The crowd mumbled their thanks and quickly carried the man away. After they left, Nam closed the door, a faint smile on his lips. This deed he had just performed would further elevate his reputation. A moment later, Old Man Nam turned off the light and went to bed, feeling content. However, he could not have foreseen that the very next morning trouble would strike again. Master Nam, Master Nam." It was the same clamorous knocking at the door, but this time the voice was sharper, more frantic. Nam was still half asleep. He groggily got up and slowly walked outside. "Why so early? What's wrong?" As soon as he spoke, he recognized the group from last night. What's more, they were carrying the snakebite victim on the stretcher again. No, to be precise, they were carrying his corpse. Old Man Nam was stunned, unable to react, when the victim's wife rushed forward wailing. "Master, you said you cured my husband, but he just started frothing at the mouth and died a miserable death. If you couldn't cure him, I would have taken him to the hospital. You said if he died, you'd compensate me. Won't you, Master?" Nam was flustered. He instinctively opened the door, stammering, "What? Bring him inside." After they carried the man into the house and laid him on the wooden bench in the corner, Nam tremblingly reached for the victim's nose. He quickly withdrew his hand. The man was no longer breathing. His skin was darkened, completely devoid of any signs of life. What? How could this be? Nam stumbled back a few steps, pressing his fingers to his temples, his face growing more and more contorted in anguish with each press. Then he slapped his forehead. My heavens, I didn't realize. He was bitten by a asterisk spirit snake asterisk, not an ordinary one. Though the venom was out, the evil aura remained, and at midnight it returned to claim his soul. But this explanation did not satisfy the woman. Stop pretending, old man. You killed my husband. I'll report you to the police. They'll come and arrest you. With that, the woman stormed out. Her anger was evident enough to show that her words were no idle threat. Nam was terrified. On one hand, the commotion would attract more people, damaging his reputation. More importantly, the woman was going to the police. Nam knew that even though he had saved many people before, he had no formal qualifications or licenses. He had even treated the village chairman, but none of that would matter against public pressure and media attention. No, I can't go to prison. I can't bear this disgrace. So, at that moment, Nam pushed the people out, bolted the door, leaving only himself and the corpse of the man inside. The crowd outside grew larger, pointing and shouting. Nam killed someone. Old man Nam killed someone. He's barricading himself inside, probably planning to escape. Don't let him get away. Those who still believed in Nam desperately hoped a miracle would occur. About half an hour later, the woman indeed brought the police. Accompanying her and the officers was the village chairman, Kwang. He had heard the woman's report but didn't believe it, so he had come personally to investigate. The two police officers quickly dispersed the crowd, while Chairman Kwang called out loudly as Nam's door remained tightly shut. Master Nam, this is Kwang, the village chairman. Please open the door. We can talk about whatever happened calmly. Inside, there was still no sound. After another 10 minutes, the crowd began to grow impatient. Several people shouted, "If he doesn't come out, break the door down." The pressure was mounting. Chairman Kwang wanted to handle the matter gently, but he couldn't. He reluctantly signaled the two police officers to break the door. Receiving the order, they nodded and asked one last time, "Master Nam, will you open the door? If not, we will be forced to break it down." Suddenly, at that very moment, old man Nam's door opened. He stepped out, his eyes scanning everyone. "What's all this shouting about? Don't you know I'm performing a ritual?" "Silence, old man. You killed someone. What rituals are you talking about now? Everyone, go in and bring out Mr. Thu's body. Master Nam must not know what to do." Old man Nam stood motionless for a moment. Then he pointed directly at the person who had spoken and yelled, "Watch your words. Who said he's dead? Show me the man who said Mr. Thu is truly dead." As he spoke, he gestured inside his house, and the crowd gasped in astonishment. Before their eyes, a man walked out from inside Nam's house. "Isn't that Mr. Thu, the man bitten by the snake who was at death's door?" Yet now he showed no signs of having just passed away. He walked with a slight limp due to the foot wound Nam had treated last night, which still ached. Nam, at this moment, scolded loudly, "All right, where are the ones who said Mr. Thu was dead? Come out and see for yourselves." "If it weren't for me, you would have buried him. Truly, such ignorance. You are the ones who almost killed him." The man's wife, who had been distraught, watched her husband walk out, speechless. She was the one who, at dawn, had discovered her husband was no longer breathing, his body growing cold. Why was this happening now? Then she rushed to embrace her husband. Mr. Thu whispered to her, "Yes, I'm alive again, thanks to Master Nam. Why was everyone yelling at Master Nam so harshly just now? It almost made him lose focus and couldn't perform the ritual." Hearing this, everyone burst into laughter. Those who had just been critical of Nam's abilities immediately knelt, trembling. "Please forgive us, Master. We are but mere mortals, ignorant of your vast powers. We beg you not to hold it against us or punish us." Nam smiled, waving his hand, and said, "It's nothing, I'm just a helper. Next time, if you have any doubts, please remain quiet so I can concentrate. If you keep making such a ruckus, I cannot work." The crowd began to applaud. Chairman Kwang spoke up. "Master Nam, I heard the reports, but I didn't believe you could do such a thing, which is why I came all the way here to verify. I truly had no ill intentions." Nam nodded slowly. "I know, Chairman. You are a compassionate leader who cares for your people. Your presence here today only proves your dedication. Well, now that everything is resolved, I must go inside to meditate a bit. I've used quite a lot of spiritual power." With that, Nam turned and went back inside, and the door was tightly shut once more. The crowd began to disperse. After everyone had left, Nam collapsed onto the floor. He breathed heavily. He raised his hands to the sky as if reaching for something. He recalled what had just happened. It was true. The The man had died, and in this world, no matter how talented one is, no one can revive another. Yet, Nam had managed to do it. In that moment of extreme urgency, he had no other choice but to finally turn to the forbidden book. It was a chapter he had sworn never to touch. But ultimately, facing the prospect of being exposed and disgraced, he had closed his eyes and taken the gamble. He clearly remembered the first page of that chapter required him to cut himself and pour his blood into the mouth of the deceased, then cut the deceased's own blood and pour it there as well. Next, a specific incantation had to be chanted. This chant was entirely different from any he had known before. As he recited it, Nam felt a chilling pain throughout his body, followed by a burning sensation as if fire consumed him. This feeling truly terrified him. To be frank, that particular chant summoned a demon from the underworld. The demon would possess the corpse and impersonate the husband. The drop of Nam's blood dripped into the corpse's mouth was like a pact. If he violated the agreement, he would have to pay with his life. Nam had never even considered using it, let alone trying it. And then, miraculously, the demon appeared. But he quickly sensed its immense power. Frankly, the wandering spirits and ghosts he had encountered before were like mere flies compared to this entity. Old man Nam intended to negotiate, offering it the souls of the spirits he had captured. However, just as he was about to speak, the two police officers were about to break down the door. If mortals were to witness it at that moment, everything would be ruined. The demon also knew this, so it quickly possessed the corpse. Did it help Nam? He didn't think so. These types of beings, having endured countless kalpas in the underworld, were never benevolent enough to help a human like him. Now, frankly, he was just waiting for the demon to appear and state its conditions. What conditions would it demand? Would it demand his life? At this thought, Nam grew even more fearful. If that were the case, he would be doing something far worse. If he let the man die, at most he would go to prison for a decade. But this, he might have to pay with his own life. In the following days, Nam acted busy with his cultivation, closing his clinic. In reality, he stayed cooped up in his house, waiting. He didn't ask Thuy to come back to the countryside with him. He was afraid if the demon knew he had a daughter, what if it harmed the girl? This kind of demon thrived on dark energy, and women were generally more susceptible to such influences. Tonight, after dinner, what he had been waiting for finally appeared. A round, dark shadow floated in from outside, entering his room. Its piercing laughter startled Nam. He sat up, clasped his hands together, and began to chant. This particular chant allowed him to communicate with the demon. However, a deep, rumbling voice immediately echoed. "No need to chant, I can speak normally." Nam's apprehension grew. Regular ghosts were difficult enough, now this one could communicate normally. What exactly had he summoned? He stammered, "You! What is your name?" "Reveal yourself." The unsettling laughter rang out again as the dark shadow slowly descended, facing Nam. "My name is not important. I am here because of the pact between us. Have you kept the matter quiet? Shall I recount it? That night I followed that woman home, had dinner, and then spent some intimate time with her. Truly, what a foolish woman. She didn't even realize I wasn't her husband. She even praised me for my prowess. It had been a long time since I tasted a woman, so I lingered for 3 or 4 more days. And just now, I took that man's body out to the bridge and threw it into the water. In a few days, it will surface and everyone will think he drowned. You can rest easy, can't you?" Nam let out a long sigh, gritting his teeth, and bit out each word. "What do you want? Speak quickly." The demon cackled, its shadow circling around his room with evident delight. A moment later, it settled down again. Nam tightly shut his eyes as if awaiting his imminent death. But the demon thought differently. It spoke with a mocking tone. "Don't worry, I won't take your life. One life is too little." Nam opened his eyes and looked at it. "What do you want? I see you have good intentions to help people, but you must think carefully. You cannot save everyone. Like that woman from before, I saw you put all your effort into healing her husband, but she still heartlessly went to the police to have you arrested. So tell me, if I hadn't been there that day, would you still be alive? Would you be sitting here now?" Nam stammered. It was true, he had been genuinely angry at the woman's actions that day. The demon seemed to have hit a nerve and continued, "In my opinion, you and I should work together. You continue to save those you deem worthy. But as for the wicked, leave them to me. I will drag their souls down to the underworld where they don't deserve to live. Understand?" Nam shook his head. "How can there be killing here?" The demon cackled again. "You are too naive. There's no killing here. You save people. I only need you to mark those individuals and then I can do my part. You must remember clearly, you and I are partners. You and I are the law, understand? Nam was truly bewildered at this moment. It was true that many people had sought his healing recently, and among them were quite a few who had committed evil deeds. But his duty was to save lives. He couldn't make them die just because he disliked them. Seeing his hesitation, the demon quickly added, "Don't worry. You save them, and I will cause them to have accidents and take their souls, not just random deaths. No one will blame or suspect you. Understand?" And when the demon said this, it completely convinced Nam. He thought to himself, if he considered it carefully, it made sense. Furthermore, he wouldn't lose his life, and he could even control this demon. As long as it stayed within their agreement, it couldn't harm any innocent person. 6 days later, after a considerable time, people once again saw Old Man Nam's house open, and his "free healing" sign was put up again. In just a few hours, word spread from person to person. A crowd of nearly 100 people gathered in front of his house. From inside, Nam emerged, his face beaming with confident cheer. He waved to the villagers. "I'm sure you've waited a long time. These past few days, I had to close my doors for cultivation. Now that it's done, I'll continue to use my powers to save people." The crowd applauded loudly. Old Man Nam now looked no different from a celebrity. People no longer waited but formed a long line extending to the end of the alley. Nam, as usual, examined and treated everyone. He also carefully observed each person. Finally, a couple entered. Seeing their shifty expressions, Nam felt a little suspicious. He pointed to 2 chairs in front of him and calmly said, "Please, both of you, sit down." Once they were seated, Nam began to ask, "So what brings you to me?" The two looked at each other. Nam quickly interjected, "You must tell me the truth or I cannot help you." The wife side then started to speak. "Master, I won't hide anything. My husband and I have been married for 3 years. My husband has a child from a previous marriage. That boy was very stubborn and unruly, Master. So a few months ago, while disciplining him, I accidentally hit him too hard. The boy collapsed and died. I swear, Master, I didn't mean to. I didn't even realize he was dead until I came back a while later. We were so afraid, so my husband and I buried his body inside our house. We thought it would be quiet, but his spirit has appeared several times to scare us. And I'm pregnant. I'm afraid it will affect my unborn child." Hearing this, Old Man Nam smiled and nodded, saying, "This is simple. I will help suppress the boy's soul. But before I perform the ritual, both of you must perform a small ritual yourselves." "What ritual?" the woman asked, frowning in confusion. Nam said nothing, silently walking into his room. A moment later, he returned with a small bowl and a sewing needle. He said, "Both of you, prick your fingertips and let a drop of blood fall into this bowl. 1 drop each is enough." Though they didn't understand why, the couple quickly did as Nam asked. After they finished, he took the bowl of blood to a corner and began his ritual. He also gave them a charm he called a peace charm. With it, the boy's spirit would not be able to touch them. Grateful for the treasure Old Man Nam had given them, both husband and wife effusively thanked him and happily left. After they were gone, Nam took out the bowl of blood and began to mutter incantations. As he chanted, a round, dark shadow appeared above his head, circling, occasionally emitting a faint, high-pitched laugh. Just as Old Man Nam had anticipated, the next day, he read the news that the couple had died in a house fire, the cause determined to be an electrical short circuit. He put down the newspaper and sighed, wondering if he was doing the right thing. A month passed quickly. The number of wicked people Old Man Nam had punished far exceeded the fingers on his 2 hands. The demon was greatly pleased. Each time it appeared, Nam felt it growing stronger. The most recent time, it even sought him out to receive blood from a person Nam had marked. He had to put on a warm coat because the cold, dark energy it emitted was overwhelmingly terrifying. But frankly, ever since he had partnered with the demon, Nam felt as if his life had a hidden plan. Although no situation as severe as the snakebite victim had occurred again, he felt a strange sense of peace. Today, there were fewer patients, so after finishing his work, he packed his belongings and went to town to visit his daughter. He sat in the first row of his usual bus. A while later, a group of unruly children boarded the bus at a stop, making a noisy commotion. Nam didn't pay much attention until he heard someone screaming at them. It was the bus ticket collector. "Hey you, get off the bus now," he shouted, twisting a child's arm behind his back. The boy cried out and everyone on the bus was startled. An old woman spoke up. "Why are you hitting the children like that? Are they short on money? Talk it over calmly, I can even pay for them. But the staff member pointed at the old woman and yelled, "If you don't know anything, shut up. Driver, stop the bus." The driver indeed stopped the bus, and not only that boy but all the children were forced off. They stood in the middle of the road, screaming and crying. Nam was about to say something, but the bus door quickly closed. The bus immediately drove off, leaving the crying children behind. "That guy is truly evil," Nam muttered to himself, his eyes fixed on the ticket collector. Then he took a sewing needle from his shirt pocket. Slowly, he held it between his fingers. After a moment, as the bus approached the next stop and the driver braked, Nam seized the opportunity to pretend to lurch forward. The needle plunged into the man's arm, making him yelp. "Hey, old man, what are you doing?" Nam clasped his hands together and said, "My apologies, the bus braked so suddenly I didn't realize I might have pricked your sleeve." The man said nothing, merely examining the small puncture wound. It wasn't significant, so he remained silent. Just then, the bus stopped. Nam quickly got off. He walked purposefully into a nearby coffee shop. He asked the owner for a plastic cup. A tiny bit of blood still clung to the needle, and that was more than enough. He dropped the needle into the cup and began to murmur incantations. Just then, a cold gust of wind blew from somewhere, knocking the cup and needle away. Old man Nam smirked, then continued his journey on the next bus to visit his daughter. This time, he had arranged to stay in town for 3 days, as usual. Thuy was incredibly proud of her father, whose reputation as Master Nam had spread even to here. When people learned she was his daughter, they treated her with a newfound respect and awe. Thuy was delighted by this. She was no longer bullied. The 3 days visiting his daughter passed in a flash. Before boarding the bus, Nam secretly gave Thuy some extra pocket money. This time, oddly, the bus had a different ticket collector. This person was more helpful and gentle, not as rude as the previous one. Nam was confident that the previous collector had learned his lesson, but he wanted to be sure. After the bus had been driving for a while, he pretended to ask the driver, "Hey, why is there a new ticket collector today? Where's the previous guy?" The driver's answer was not what Nam had expected. "He's dead." Nam feigned innocence. "Good heavens, how did he die? He seemed so healthy last time." The driver sighed and explained, "He died in a traffic accident. He drove straight into a lamppost and died, no one else hit him. Poor kid, at least he can finally rest." Poor kid? Nam was very curious. If such a rude person died, people should be happy, but the driver seemed genuinely sorrowful. Nam asked, "Why do you say poor kid?" The driver's eyes filled with sadness as he recounted, "That kid, he had it hard. He lost his father young and his mother had cancer. Her health was too poor to work. He had to drop out of school early and struggled to earn money to support his family. Everyone liked him, so no one believed he died. He was known for driving safely, so it was truly a shock to hear his story." Nam frowned, recalling the past, and asked, "Is that true? Because last time I saw him, he was bullying those kids as if he wanted to eat them alive." The driver shook his head and said, "You wouldn't know, old man, but those kids are little devils, not ordinary children. They take advantage of their appearance to sneak onto the bus and pickpocket people. They've been caught several times, but because they're so small, they're let go. The other day, they picked someone's pocket, and that's why he kicked them off. If he hadn't, I would have." Hearing this, old man Nam felt his blood run cold. He stammered, What, is that true? Of course, if you don't believe me, ask anyone at the bus station." Good heavens! Old man Nam almost collapsed. His eyes widened, his mind flooded with guilt. He heard the demon's mocking laughter echoing in his head. When he arrived home, old man Nam was distraught. Without a word, he rushed inside and slammed the door shut. He stayed cooped up in his house like that, not coming out. 6 days later, the crowd of people seeking healing appeared again. Seeing the locked door from inside, they knew Nam was home. But remembering his previous instruction not to disturb him, thinking he was meditating, no one dared. However, more and more people arrived, and they couldn't wait any longer. A few eager individuals walked to the door and knocked several times. "Master Nam, Master Nam?" Inside, of course, there was no answer, so they called louder and more voices joined in. Inside his room, Nam clearly heard the calls, but a crushing sense of guilt overwhelmed him. He tormented himself. Then a familiar cackle echoed. Without needing to guess or look, Nam knew who it was. The demon appeared. It whispered in his ear, "Hey, why don't you go open the door for them? Many people are waiting for you. Hurry up, I can't wait anymore." Ah, the soul of that guy from before was truly delicious. I don't know what evil he did that you wanted to punish him, but it was 10 times better than the previous souls. It was truly no mistake to partner with you. The demon's words tormented Nam even more. Tears streamed down his face now. He glared at it, raising his hands to make a gesture. The demon laughed mockingly. You think those little spells can control me? Impossible. If I were that easy to control, I wouldn't be here now. Nam persisted with his incantations, but they indeed had no effect on the demon. It continued to float brazenly before him. He strained so hard that he coughed up blood. Powerless, Nam slumped to the ground. He weakly said, I won't listen to you anymore. Do whatever you want with me. I'm tired. As he spoke, Nam closed his eyes. What he had just done had crossed his limits. He even thought of taking his own life to atone for the sins he had caused. The demon, of course, was not pleased with Nam's actions. It growled, its voice so cold that Nam's teeth chattered. You should remember, you and I have a pact. If you don't listen to me, the consequences are unimaginable. You can't even fathom them. By then, don't regret it. Nam sneered and said, Regret? I've regretted enough. Do whatever you want, I don't care. As soon as he finished, the demon let out an ear-splitting roar. Nam squeezed his eyes shut, ready to accept death. He said, Do what you want, come on. But after that roar, everything returned to silence. Nam opened his eyes. The demon was gone. He frowned. Why did it disappear? Did it spare me? But then he immediately dismissed that thought. The demon couldn't be that simple. He thought to himself, it must be waiting for him to change his mind. But don't you dare hope. I've made up my mind. I won't do these evil deeds anymore. With that thought, Old Man Nam stood up, opened the door, and stepped out. As soon as the door opened, the crowd outside erupted in cheers. He opened the door, we're saved. But the smiles on their faces quickly vanished as Nam reached out and pulled down the free healing sign. He looked at everyone with serious eyes and said, Greetings, everyone, I am Nam Ban. Today I must inform you that my powers are gone. I can no longer heal anyone. Please go home, I will not treat anyone anymore. As Nam spoke, the sky suddenly darkened and black clouds gathered ominously. The crowd was bewildered. Someone asked, Master Nam, you seem troubled. Is there something you can tell us? If you won't treat us anymore, what will we do? The crowd murmured in agreement. Nam shook his head, looking up at the sky, and said, This is a personal matter, please don't ask questions. Everyone, go home quickly, it's about to rain. From now on, please forget the name Nam Ban. After saying this, Nam turned and went back inside. The door was tightly shut once more. The crowd didn't give up. They stood outside for what seemed like hours before finally dispersing. That night, inside Old Man Nam's house, darkness enveloped everything. He began to perform the ritual to dispel the demon, but with his power, it was clearly impossible. He frantically flipped through the book, but found no mention of how to break the curse. It seemed that those pages had been torn out. Undeterred, Nam remained persistent, continuing to search the book for days without food or drink. People say that human strength has its limits, but for him, his determination seemed to have reached its peak. The demon, however, would not easily let him go. It hovered around him all day, using every conceivable argument to persuade him. Each time Nam refused, it would growl. Once, it had even choked him to the point of near death. Yet, one thing Nam couldn't understand was why it didn't just kill him and be free to do as it pleased. Today was the 5th day. Everything continued to the point where Nam no longer wanted to resist or do anything. He faced the demon as if he and it were in 2 completely different worlds. But then, something he never expected happened. A frantic phone call from Mrs. Ba, his relative in town, made Nam dizzy and nearly fall to the ground. The information Mrs. Ba relayed was extremely serious and terrifying. Thuy, his daughter, was in the hospital. She had endured a horrifying night. On her way home from school, she was ambushed by a group of youths, and the group's leader had raped her on a deserted road. She cried for help, but no one heard. Some time later, when Mrs. Ba didn't see her return home, she became worried and went looking for her. At 3 a.m., everyone searched together. By then, Thuy's breathing was very weak. Nam didn't hesitate. He immediately took a bus to the town hospital. At the hospital, he quickly called out, Ms. Ba, Ms. Ba. Mrs. Ba, hearing his voice from inside, rushed out. Oh, Nam, Thuy, my child, she's in there. As she spoke, Mrs. Ba pointed to the emergency room. Thuy had been in critical condition since she was brought in. Nam's eyes filled with utter rage. He glared at Mrs. Ba and asked, Who is Lai, the boy near the house? He's been following her for a long time and finally made his move now. That family is very powerful, we can't touch them. Hearing this, Nam laughed grimly. A moment later, he said nothing more, turned his back, and walked away. Of course, no one knew where he was going, except perhaps for that sinister entity. The demon appeared. This time, it didn't try to persuade him, for it knew what he intended to do. It cackled. That guy is truly evil. He must be destroyed. Don't you agree? I promise you, I will make him die a pathetic death. I will make him die without a body because of the sin of making your daughter suffer. The demon's voice only fueled Nam's anger further. He went to a nearby market, bought a knife, and a bottle of the strongest liquor. As he walked, he drank from the bottle, gulping down the liquor as if it were mere water. Completely drunk, he staggered and swayed towards the end of the road where Lai lived. He stood in the darkness in front of a large house, waiting. He waited because the demon had informed him that his enemy was on his way home, and so it was. About half an hour later, he saw a motorcycle speeding towards him. There was only one person on the bike, which was even better. Nam slowly emerged from the darkness, extending his hand to wave at the motorcycle. It slowed down. He clearly saw the face of the person on the bike. He was a very young man, his face still boyish. But this appearance couldn't hide the demon within. "What is it, old man? Are you drunk and trying to throw yourself in front of traffic?" But Nam said nothing. With a cold, determined face, he strode forward. When he was only an arm's length from the young man, Nam suddenly pulled the knife from his pocket and stabbed him repeatedly. Surprised, the young man screamed and fell to the ground. Nam didn't stop. He continued to stab and withdraw the knife over and over. Blood spurted, drenching his clothes and even splattering his face. "Stop! What are you doing? This is my job. What are you doing? Let go!" The demon appeared, but its voice seemed utterly panicked. It seemed to be trying to pull Nam away from the young man's body, but for some reason, each time it got close, it was repelled. Nam's vengeful energy at that moment was like an immense force, shattering the demon itself. Nam continued to stab until his arm grew weary, then he stopped. The young man's face was disfigured from the stabbings. Nam sat back on the road, pulled out his phone, and called the police. A moment later, they arrived. Even the bravest person would probably not dare to look directly at the scene. The victim's body was no longer intact. To put it more bluntly, it resembled a heap of mangled flesh. Nam sat quietly, without panic or denying his guilt. The only thing he said before he was arrested was, "I killed him. Arrest me. Execute me." The news of old man Nam's arrest for murder shocked everyone in the village. But then, when they learned about Thuy's plight, people sympathized with him more. Sitting in solitary confinement, awaiting his sentence, Nam knew for sure he couldn't escape justice. He was remarkably calm. His composure was further solidified when Mrs. Ba reported that Thuy had recovered. Fortunately, she had suffered no lasting damage that would affect her future reproductive health. And the demon, it appeared day and night before him, cursing him. It berated him with the most terrible words. Nam sneered and asked it, "Do you hate me?" "I hate you, you dog. You dared to ruin my plans. If you die, I will drag your soul to the underworld. I will torment you so you can never reincarnate. I will have my revenge." "Why don't you just kill me?" Nam pressed, but the demon did not reply. At that very moment, he lunged forward, slamming his head against the wall in front of him. A dull thud echoed. After that seemingly powerful impact, blood gushed from his forehead. But that wasn't the most significant thing here, it was the demon. As Nam's head bled, it clutched its own head, rolling on the ground. Nam laughed loudly. "Finally, I understand why you won't kill me. Because of the pact between us, if one of us is destroyed, the other cannot exist. No wonder you tried to trick me countless times. I know now, I know now." Just as he finished, the demon lowered its voice and whispered, "No, don't do anything foolish. Tonight, I will possess the prison guard, release you, and we will hide in the forest and find a way to another country. If you live, I live. Why would you harm yourself like this?" The situation changed dramatically. Old man Nam stood up straight and said, "Don't even think about tempting me. I have already sinned once in my life, and I will not follow your evil suggestions again." The demon growled, "Don't push me. Do you think you're alone? From now until you face trial, I can visit your daughter again. That guy's body was too weak, otherwise I would have taught your daughter a lesson she'd never forget. But it's okay, she still smells so sweet, I'm still interested. Perhaps tonight I will visit your daughter. You should think carefully, don't back me into a corner. You don't want to die, do you?" With that, the demon vanished. Nam's eyes were wide and blank. My heavens, Nam, what have you done? You've been led astray by that demon, causing harm to innocents. Then he laughed bitterly at his own wretched life. At this point, many would wonder, with his daughter's safety threatened, would Nam yield to the demon? The answer was no. The next day, the prison guard found his body hanging in his cell. He had used his clothes to make a noose and hanged himself. In the room, there was a letter he had left behind, mainly filled with loving words and instructions for his daughter to study hard and succeed. At the end, he asked the authorities to go to his house and destroy the ancient Thuy book so it could no longer harm anyone. People searched his house but found no ancient book. The story of old man Nam gradually faded into oblivion. To this day, people still speculate about the ancient book Nam mentioned, but it remains nothing more than a rumor.